let's get RBT to 1 million subscribers by the end of the year. If you don't subscribe, there are consequences. And with those consequences, there's a chance I come out of retirement and I beat your favorite team.
Oh, would you look at the mad lad? Mr. Bubbles, he's back. And you know what that means? You know what time it is. Time to slap that scientific cap on him, because the Madden science is back today. As we all know, Mr. Joseph Burrow, the #1 overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, drafted by the Cincinnati Bengals, and today we put Madden science into fruition as Madden 20, the most experienced and most complicated simulation out there. Madden 20 is going to predict Joe Burrow's full entire NFL career. So today we're going to see how Madden 20 thinks Joe Burrow's career is going to go. Is he going to stay with the Bengals his entire life? Is he going to be a bust? Is he going to climb up to be a Hall of Famer? What's his rating going to peak at? We shall see this today, and hopefully you guys are excited the Madden science is back. And if you are, make sure to smash that like button. If you want to see Tua or another rookie, watch me follow their career and see what Madden 20 thinks is going to happen throughout their career. Let me know to see how much you enjoyed this video and to see if you want me to do this on next. With that said, dudes, let's jump right into this freaking nonsense. First bit of business, I am not using the Cincinnati Bengals because I want the Bengals to make their own decisions with Joe Burrow. I want to see if they sign him to another contract, see if they end up releasing him, if he's a bust. It's all going to be down to the CPU. I'm just going to keep the Titans as my team because they're my favorite team. But first bit of business, we do need to go and look what Joe Burrow is going to start at. He comes in at a 76 overall. 76 overall field general. The rest of his ratings: 90 throw power, 84 deep, 86 medium, 89 short, 86 on the run, 80 play action, and 87 under pressure. Only 69 break sack, which I think that's actually a little low because he broke so many sacks at LSU. I was at the Alabama LSU game, so obviously I was there in person to see him break about 75 sacks. His awareness is a little low too, but that can go up. He has 80 speed, 84 excel, 80 agility. So that's, I think that's about right. But boys, with that said, is Joe Burrow going to win the 2021 NFL Rookie of the Year? Now, I will say as well, obviously, this is the most up-to-date roster. All the free agency moves up to this point in time on September, dog, it's June. Where did I get that from? June 10th, all the rookies are on their teams as well, so we might be able to see how they kind of do too, but we're just highlighting Joe Burrow. With that said, time to simulate to the playoffs and see how Joe Burrow's rookie season is going to go. So season #1, we're going to look at the statistics a little bit more in depth than we will the rest of the seasons, because if we look at it really in depth every single season, it's going to be like a movie. This is going to be a 2-hour long video. But first season, his rookie year, my Titans have a big drop off at 4-12, but the Cincinnati Bengals, they go from the worst record in the NFL to, let's see, oh, they didn't do too good either. Anything better than last year is a win. They went 6-10, so a little bit better than last year. Dolphins had the worst record of 1-15, so obviously Tua didn't too well. My Titans had like the worst record in the league, but the best record in the league, I didn't even look, was the Saints, Ravens, Cowboys, Giants. Giants with a huge improvement from last year. Browns up there as well, Falcons, Chiefs, and 49ers. Now, the moment of truth. Did Joe Burrow, he had to have, right? He had to have won, but the offensive rookie of the year in the AFC goes to James Morgan. Who is this? Who is James Morgan? He was drafted in the 4th round, ends up on the Patriots, and wins his Rookie of the Year. So this video's already got off to a wild start, but the rest of them, Joe Burrow actually comes in 3rd place with the Rookie of the Year rating. He's up to an 80 overall already. Justin Herbert comes in 2nd. We have, who's the next after? Who are these people? Who are these people that the Patriots are getting that I don't even know who they are? Like, who is Devin Asiasi? Now, Joe Burrow's rookie season, not a bad year whatsoever. 3,200 yards, 21 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 62% completion percentage, only sacked 29 times. Did he run the ball okay? 84 yards, 1 touchdown, nothing too crazy there. AJ Green helped him out quite a bit, 8 touchdowns, but nobody with a lot of yardage. But that's not a bad rookie season whatsoever. You couldn't ask too much more from a guy like Joe Burrow in his first season. And it's going to end up being the Browns with the goddamn huge freaking win in Super Bowl 55, 56-17. Already, dude, the credibility Madden 20 has in terms of simulations just needs to be thrown out the window, because this is freaking wild. So Browns again on top of the NFL world, 14-2. The Dolphins with a huge rebound, going 11-5. Now where are the Bengals? Patriots making the playoffs. The Bengals way down there once again, 5-11. So not a huge improvement from the last season. So it looks like Tua's up there, number 4 in the Offensive Player of the Year in the AFC. Joe Mixon's up there too, but it does not look like there, but obviously there's no Joe Burrow in the top 10. Tua even came in the top 10 of the MVP race, only at a 79 overall. I mean, Joe's up to an 83 overall. He's still at a superstar, not an X factor yet, but I mean, I definitely would expect him in today's video to get into like the 90s. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I think he's probably going to max out like maybe 93, 94 overall, but that's still a super good QB. So next Super Bowl is the Ravens and the Giants. The Ravens finally get their dub 31-23. As let's see if season number 3, Joe Burrow can finally bring the Bengals to a playoff spot. Wow, my Titans suck. No playoffs in the first few seasons. Went 7-9 this time around, but it's all about the Bengals. Browns again with the best record in the league. The Marshalls. Who is this? Who are the Marshalls? Like, where did this come from? I have no clue who this is. I'm not going to ask questions. But the Bengals, again, not having a good year. And it looks like they're slowly but surely improving. The Bengals, 7-9 this year. This should be the last year on Joe Burrow's rookie contract. Interested to see if they do extend him or not. So, dude, he could be on a new team next year. Maybe he needs to go to a new team so he can actually make the freaking playoffs. So, once again, no top 10 MVP for Mr. Joe Burrow. So, how did he do in his third season? I mean, is he going up at all? He is. I mean, he's up to 4,000 yards, so at least he is improving a little bit. 29 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 67% completion percentage. Looks like they drafted a QB, which is really weird, like a year ago or so. Now, Joe Mixon's still there, balling out. They look like they run the ball a lot. Their offense looks really good. Tyler Boyd's getting good, 1,000 yards. AJ Green's probably starting to regress a little bit. Okay, it's the Chargers. The LA Chargers are now the freaking San Antonio Marshalls, who now made it to the playoffs, or made it to the Super Bowl, rather. So, Lions, Marshalls in Super Bowl 57. And are the Lions finally going to get a freaking Super Bowl dub? And no. Dub and no. It's a freaking goddamn Marshalls. So I just had to interrupt the video with some breaking stuff. Like, what the fuck is this? Literally 70% of you that watch my freaking channel aren't subscribed, dude. Like, all you gotta do is click the goddamn button. My videos suck that bad. Now, I do want to see here, is Joe Burrow an available free agent? And it looks like Saquon's there. But no, Tua is an available QB, which is insane. The Dolphins didn't sign him back. Jordan Love is available. Jalen Hurts is available. Jacob Eason is available. Freaking Jake Fromm. God dang, a lot of these rookies, or guys that are going to be rookies in this upcoming NFL season. Dang, how do you let Tua go? So I'm guessing they just picked up his rookie option because it doesn't say he actually re-signed right here. Up to an 85 overall, still superstar. I do want to go and look at his contract to see. Wow, they signed him. I guess they must have re-signed him last year, so he's probably going to be a Bengal for the entire video. So they did re-sign him to a 7-year deal. He's in the second year of that. 102 mil. As that's what, like, actually not, like, when you think about it, you see the contracts like Russell Wilson and Kirk Cousins got. It could have been a lot worse for the freaking Bengals. They have Russell Wilson still, right? Justin Herbert now is on the Patriots. I don't know how that happened either. There's been some wild stuff. James Morgan now in the Buccaneers. Hilarious enough because he went from the Patriots to the Bucs just like Tom Brady did. Now, where is Jalen Hurts? He's on the Dolphins now, so he's now the backup there. Well, Tua's career is going to just fade away. I mean, why? Like, why did they sign him? 2022, now did the Bengals finally make the playoffs? And it looks like no. Looks like they went downhill. There they go. They now are like a half a game worse than what they were last year. Looks like no Joe Burrow in the top 10 MVP again. So like at this point, I mean, he's in his 4th year. He's not bad, but it's just kind of average how his career is going right now. 33 touchdowns, so that's his career high. 15 interceptions, though, also his career high. 4,000 yards, a little bit less than last year. Joe Mixon is still playing extremely well. Their wide receivers, you see this? Like, I don't know how good these rookies are, but, like, these receivers are just not really that good for them. And finally, after, like, 107 years, it seems like, the Raiders finally win the Super Bowl. End of the next season, and let's see, can he finally bring them to a playoff berth? And no, they're just staying around the same. They're actually getting worse. 5-11 again. Once again, no top 10 of the MVP race for any of the quarterbacks that were actual rookies in the first season. And this was his career low in interceptions, but it's still just nothing way too crazy. Just under 4,000 yards, 28 touchdowns, 6 picks. Was sacked, I think, a career high 35 times. His receivers still aren't anything too good, so unless they start spending their money, I think they're just gonna be mediocre. What a Super Bowl this would be, though. Seahawks versus Ravens. Russell Wilson, who I think is 35 or 36 at this point, and Lamar Jackson, who's got to be pushing close to 30. and it's the Seahawks. It's the veteran Russell Wilson. We're at the point where I've already lost track of how many years we're now, and I think this might be his 6th NFL season, and can they finally, for the first time, make the playoffs? It looks like they do. Finally, Joe Burrow leads the Bengals in like his 6th season to the playoffs for the first time in forever. 11-5 on this season. Does that finally mean that he did have a good year, maybe even crack the top 10 of the MVP race for the first time ever? It looks like he does, in 9th place, and he's now up to an 89 overall. So finally, after season number 6, Joe Burrow's career is starting to take an upward turn, and let's see how he did. He had to have a crazy year, right? His career high in touchdowns and yardage, 4,400 yards, 36 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. Joe Mixon's still there, man. He's having, what a crazy career he's had. Receiving yard wise, they finally got a beast youngster, Stanley Singh. Not sure his overall, but he has 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns. The first 1,000 yard receiver in Joe Burrow's NFL career. So in his first playoff berth, can Joe Burrow lead the Bengals to a Super Bowl appearance? No, it's the Broncos, it's the Falcons. First time we've seen either of those teams in the Super Bowl, and it's going to go to the Falcons, 35-21. I don't even think Matt Ryan still exists. I don't think my Titans have made the playoffs once in this entire video. So do the Bengals make the playoffs in consecutive seasons? Looks like they dipped a little bit, but they barely squeaked their way into the playoffs. 9-7 on the year. Did Joe Burrow improve even more? He probably had to eclipse finally 90 overall to maybe being on his next contract. Now, Jalen Hurts, this is wild. He wins the MVP. It might have taken him 7 years, but he finally started in the league and won the MVP before Joe Burrow did. And there's no Joe Burrow in the top 10. Like I said, for all I know, he might have actually got signed to a different team. It looks like, no, he's still on the Bengals. Actually, is a little bit better of a year, a little bit down in touchdowns, but his yardage went up to 4,500. That's a career high. 11 picks is not bad. Sacked 33 times. And there's his receivers. I mean, it's still some of the same guys that started on the team, but they're still balling out. Joe Mixon's got to be in his 30s, and he's still having a great year. 15 touchdowns. He's a 98 overall. That is insane. I had no idea he was that good. In Joe Burrow, we can look right here. He's got to be at 90, 92 overall, and he did finally get Superstar X Factor. He's already almost 30 years of age. Now, let me see really quick. Did he sign a new contract by chance? No, he still has 2 more years left on this contract, so he's going to be a Bengal for at least a few more seasons. All right, come on, Joseph. Make this video a little bit better at this point. Make it to the Super Bowl finally. Might have taken like 7, 8 years, and no, the Giants have made it twice before the Bengals make it once. Now, it's the Bills' first try. I mean, you guys probably don't care at this point. I don't know what either roster looks like, but Super Bowl 61 technically, and the Bills win. That's definitely interesting. But anyways, let's see here. Bengals, can they finally have the best record in the league? No. Can they at least make the playoffs? No, man. They go 9-7. I think that's the same exact record they had last year. This time, no playoff berth, so no Super Bowl once again for Joseph Burrow. Joseph, ooh, pretty big drop-off. Not necessarily in touchdowns, but in yardage. 3,700 yards, 32 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. So Joe is already about to turn 30 years old, but we all know quarterbacks can play to like 35, 36, and some guys like Tom Brady to their 49. Anyways, Joe Mixon, still a great year, 1,300 yards, 8 touchdowns. Receivers, they need to sign a top receiver, man. Give Joe Burrow a big target to throw to. Is this not like the same matchup from like 4 or 5 years ago? The Raiders and the Bears. So can the Bears get revenge, or is it the Raiders going to get their second Super Bowl win of the video? And no, the Bears in a freaking squeaker. Still no playoffs for my Titans. Hopefully this isn't realistic. But as we see the Bengals, I think with their best record yet, they actually get a first round bye, I believe. Or maybe they don't. I think they do, but still no higher than a top 9 finish for Joe Burrow in the MVP race. But this might be his best year yet, though, and Joe Burrow, 4,500 yards, 34 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. That's about on par with what he's done. Come on, Joseph, finally a Super Bowl berth, and no, it's the Giants again, man. The Giants have had like 3 or 4 Super Bowl berths before the Bengals have had one. There's still plenty of time to go, though, and the Browns won, I think, for the second time in today's video. So, wow, they actually got him to accept only a 3-year deal. I thought for sure it was going to be at least a 5-year deal. I mean, he's only 31, but he gets $20 million a year. That's more like kind of what I expected from his first deal, but he's only a 92 overall. I am kind of interested to see, what did I say it was going up to a 93, 94? Like, if I get that right on the spot, like, I'm a monster. Like, I am the Madden scientist. I mean, I already am, but you guys get the point. But at this point, it does kind of seem like that Joe Burrow is going to spend his entire career with the Bengals. He's going to lead them to a couple playoff berths, but we have to, I mean, it's still yet to see if he can actually make it to a Super Bowl and even win a Super Bowl. End of this season, the Bengals, once again, a really good record, 11-5. Can they finally, man, can they finally make it to a Super Bowl now? Also, let's see, Joe Burrow maybe higher than top 9. Keon Milton wins the MVP. Lamar still a 99. Jalen Hurts, although his overall is not insane, he's having some insane seasons with the Colts. And then Joe Burrow in the top 10 again, but only at 10. So I'm probably expecting another extremely similar season to his last couple years. It's been like the same season ever since like season 3 in terms of his statistics. 31 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 4,400 yards, once again about the same. Joe Mixon still, he's finally starting to drop off. That time only 4 touchdowns on the year, 717 yards. But what a career he had. Stanley's still balling out. Now, how is Joe Burrow doing running the football? I mean, only like 100 yards, 1 touchdown, so nothing too crazy. Come on now, please. Joe Burrow, Cincinnati Bengals, Super Bowl run.
Psych!
No, it's the Browns again. Though, if the Browns win back-to-back Super Bowls before the Bengals and Joe Burrow make one, I'm going to be irate, and this game is stupid. Okay, the game is still stupid, but not that stupid. End of the next season, come on, best record in the league, no, but right up there at 12-4. Still waiting on Joe Burrow to lead this team to the best record in the league. Now, I mean, we have to, like, at this point, I have to say, the first 5 years were kind of rough, but after that, like, the Bengals have been like a playoff team last 3 or 4 or 5 years. So, I mean, you give him some talent around him, and he's going to ball out. I mean, he's nothing like a crazy, like, Brett Favre type career or like a Peyton Manning or like a Tom Brady, but he's having a very, very solid NFL career. I mean, you can't ask too much more from a number 1 pick, although I guess you could. You could want him to win the Super Bowl, but you get the point. He's not a bust by any means. Can we finally win an MVP? Yes, he does. So Joe Burrow does get an MVP award before his career's over. He's probably still sitting there 5 years left, but he does finally win the MVP. So what is the big difference here? What did they finally do differently for him to win the MVP? And that's what he did. He threw for 42 touchdowns, a career high, 4,600 yards, basically 4,700 yards. Jared Goff is now his backup, crazy enough. He's now been in the league for 10 years. Well, they have Jared Goff and Carson Wentz. Like, what are you doing? Like, why do they have all 3 of those guys? They can't be that bad. Probably mid-70s. But Joe Mixon still, man, what is Joe Mixon overall now? In 87, he's 33 years old, and he's still balling out, 1,000 yards, 14 touchdowns. And one thing that I did think about, too, is I don't even think Joe Burrow's been injured in the entire video, so at least he's going to be durable. He had 3 rushing touchdowns, which also I think is a career high. They got this guy, Damon McFarland, a young, he's not young, but he's had a good season, 78 overall. Apparently he's good enough. You still have this guy, Stanley Singh, so they had some good targets now to throw to, but I think just Joe Burrow had an insane season, so finally, can they make it to a Super Bowl in 2029, his 10th NFL season? Can the Cincinnati Bengals finally make it? No, it's the Giants again! How many times are the Giants and Raiders going to make it before the goddamn Bengals do? Mental. Are the Raiders going to win another one? I have already lost count. This might be their 17th of the video for all I know, and there it is. There it friggin' is. I mean, he had a good year. 4,300 yards, 30 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Not a bad year whatsoever. Jameis Winston now the backup. Oh, no, that's what happened. No Joe Mixon. I guess he finally retired. Boys, it finally happened. Joe Burrow has now signed for a different team. He signed for a team in the same exact division. Joe Burrow, now a Cleveland Brown. He's only 1 year younger than Baker Mayfield. Unfortunately, he's now starting to go down in overall, so he peaked at a 92, but still I think has a few years left in his NFL career. He might play till he's 40. So now looking at the Cleveland Browns record, and they've made the playoffs like every single year, and the Bengals now make the playoffs without Joe Burrow. Crazy enough. The Browns get beat out barely, I'm guessing by head-to-head record. Or no, the Bengals had a tie. So the Browns with Joe Burrow finally don't make the playoffs, and the Bengals do without him. So take what you want to take out of that one. 33 touchdowns, 12 picks. I mean, you can't complain about that whatsoever. I mean, who is this? Steven Waddle. He's an 84, so it looks like his receivers aren't necessarily that great. I mean, they're okay, but nothing crazy like the Browns would have had at the beginning of his career if he was originally drafted by the Browns. I was about to laugh. I fully expected the Bengals to make the Super Bowl. But no, it's the Buccaneers and Texans. And the Texans, for the first time in today's video, wins the Super Bowl. And oh boys, this might be the final year Joe Burrow is a starter for an NFL team. He's already down to an 80 overall. And now with the Carolina Panthers, the Panthers look like they signed him to a 1-year deal. They have Drew Lock behind him. So he might actually, I don't know, it depends. We'll have to see. This guy might end up starting above Joe Burrow by the end of this season. He's a young, good rookie. But Joe Burrow, I want to see that contract, though. What did they end up signing him to? It's probably, of course, a 1-year deal. And ends up being a 1-year, $2 million deal. So we might actually be seeing the end of Joe Burrow's NFL career. Look at Joe, finally, even as an 80-year-old, 36 or 37-year-old veteran, he finally is tied for the best record in all the NFL at 12-4 with the Dolphins. So maybe he can end off his NFL career with a Super Bowl ring. Might not be with the Bengals, but maybe somebody else. Looks like he does not come in. Oh, he does come in 10th place of the MVP race. So still, as a 36-year-old, having a very good season. And how about his statistics with the Panthers? They probably run the ball a lot more. No, it's about the same. He's had like the same exact statistic line his entire career. 4,300 yards, 30 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. They still have, they don't have CMC anymore. No, still no Super Bowl. Can Jalen Hurts, though, win his second Super Bowl of his career against the Arizona Cardinals and Kyler Murray? And no, Kyler Murray gets his first ring. What an effort, though, from Jalen Hurts. What a career he's had. So I think we are close to the video ending, boys. Joe Burrow, a one-year deal with the Giants, is the backup to Keon Milton. But he finished his career, 37 years of age. He might retire the next year or so. I'll show you when he retires. But 75 overall now as a backup. But what a career. Unfortunately, no Super Bowl rings. Did win an MVP. Did win a lot of games. Brought a bad Bengals team to a few playoff berths. But unfortunately, no Super Bowl ring for Mr. Joseph. He ends off his career. I mean, it is a decent career that will give us his total yardage. It unfortunately doesn't. But I mean, ever since after his 4th or 5th year, right here, that's when his career kind of took a turn for the better. And he just, I mean, not a bust by any means of the imagination. And another thing about Joe Burrow's career is the fact that he'd never missed one game. That is insane. It's like a Brett Favre type story. The injuries were left on, and every single year up until this year, now he's a backup, he did not miss a game. Never got injured. Or might have got injured but played through injuries. You get the point. And did want to check this out, and crazy enough, he does barely make the list of career NFL passing yards simulated to the next season. And boys, I'm pretty sure it is now over with. Joe Burrow is on no NFL roster. Unfortunately, I don't think it will show it in the transactions, but I'm 100% sure. Well, boys, 2034 season. I simmed past the last off season. And yes, Joe Burrow finally did retire. Well, boys, simulated to the next season, the end of 2034, and after his first season of not starting every single game as a backup, Joe Burrow decided to hang it up. What a career he had, nothing too crazy, but we end off this video with the fact that he did not get voted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It says voters disagreed that he deserved to be enshrined. So maybe not a Hall of Fame career, didn't win a Super Bowl, didn't make it to a Super Bowl, but an MVP and a super solid career, ends off 10th in all-time passing yards. I mean, a decent career. Definitely not a bust whatsoever, but at the end of the day, we all know how freaking stupid Madden is, so it's just probably all. This whole video is probably completely wrong.